You can see him gnawing at himself, and he's scratchy and itchy and all sorts. Now, I've checked his coat, because German Shepherds have a real oily coat, okay? They can go out in all weathers. Jaeger would be outside for, well, hours. She'll stay out there all night if she wants to. You see this patch here, he's constantly going at that. Now, he's not that oily, he's quite dry. And what I mean by German Shepherds, if you look at my doorpost just here, you'll see this brown mark. This is where Jaeger used to come in and rub. And whatever surface you'll see this brown mark where Jaeger would walk. Okay, that's the oil on her skin. I've got no problems with that. When she goes into the kitchen, again, she'll brush against this and the oil in her skin, like in her fur, is rubbed onto it. And if you touch her skin, it's nice and oily. She never had a problem with her skin. He's got a problem with his skin. Now, I know he's got sensitive skin because Linda told me. Because what I done is I got her to write down everything that could help me understand this dog and get to know him better. You know, what can cause irritating skin? There's a lot of things, you know, you've got grass, you've got dust mites, you've got pollen, you've got fleas, and it could be his diet, it could be a number of things. He's in the vet at 10 because this is how much I care for dogs. This is how much I get to know my dog, and you need to do this as well with your dog. You need to check them all over. Lift the tail, check the bum, check the other bits, whether it's male or female. Okay, make sure they're fine. Check their claws, check them between the toes, check their pads, make sure you're not walking them too hard on hard grounds like concrete or tarmac. Check their ears, their eyes, open their mouth, check it all out, right? His fur, it's soft, it's lovely, but it's quite dry for a German Shepherd. There's no oiling, or very little oil in that skin. And his eyes are always, like Jaeger's used to, every morning I used to clean her eyes out. But his eyes are sort of weeping all the time. And looking down here, it's red. The other one's white. But I have opened his eyes up. His eyes seem okay. But like I say, he's in the vets at 10. Get him a good check out. Look after your dogs. Study them. They're not something that just to throw a ball now and then go sit down and watch TV. These dogs need working. And they love working. You know, he's quite content. He's tired. It's, what time is it now? 5 to 8 in the morning. And he's ready for a kip again. Again, we was up at 5:30. Had a walk at 6 o'clock. And then went up the field. Done a bit more work with him. And he loves it. You can see he loves it. All these dogs love it. They're built for it. So we'll get them sorted out today, and I'll give you an update on that when we find out what's wrong with him, whether it's a food diet or he's got something to do with the grass. You know, could be dust mites, like I say, pollen. Could be a number of things. Isn't it, Hiccup? Hey? You a happy boy, Hiccup? Hiccup. Hey, you happy boy? You a happy boy? Do you want to walk it? You can talk to me. You can talk to everybody. You can say hello to everybody. And he's barking. Well, you wouldn't scare me if I came up the garden path. You wouldn't scare me at all. Until you went into action, like you did with that dog. And we don't want that, do we? I'd rather you be less aggressive towards dogs and a louder bark. because when Jaeger barked, you took note. You got like a little squeaky voice. In fact, I shall put a video on later, because no one's come through my gate since I've had him. But I knew I was having the tripod delivered yesterday by Amazon, and the video speaks for itself. This dog is not going to scare you. He's not really got an aggressive bone in his body when it comes to people. Like Jaeger, she didn't. But this fella here likes to have a go at dogs, don't you? And we've got to get that out of him. And I will get that out of him. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the dog training place up the road from me, because they've got dogs there that we can just constantly work with, although it's going to cost me. These dogs are worth spending money on, and these dogs aren't cheap to keep. If you just want to keep it as a pet or a security guard, they're good at that, but even then they need time with people. And the other thing he's got to get used to is the wildlife in my garden. You know, I have 2 birds that actually will, as I'm digging, or on my hands and knees in the garden digging, come up to me and say, "You got any worms for me?" Because they got used to me. They got used to Jaeger. You know, they're out in the garden now feeding off mine. That big in there is my friend. He's got loads of small birds, like loads of them. They're all coming down, look. Old Hiccup doesn't like them, doesn't like birds, chase them off. But if I go out, that big one over there will stay there, the others will fly off. But he's used to me coming out the door with Jaeger. Well, he was sat in the gateway looking at me, and I opened the door. Hiccup went out first on the lead, then I locked the door, and as we were walking, the bird went to come towards me, and Hiccup went for him, didn't you? And he flew off. Then as we walked up the road, because the bird goes up to the corner and sits there, but then he flew off as soon as he saw you. So you got to get used to them. You got to get used to the wildlife. The wildlife won't hurt you. See, that one there on the path just jumped on the grass. That's the female. That pair there live in that bush just there. That's why it's still wild, because that bush don't belong to me. It belongs to the green next door. When they come and do all the hedge trimming and whatnot, I said, "Leave that. Bird's in there." He goes, "We've got to cut it." I said, "No, you're not. You'll cut it in the winter when they're not here." And he went, "Yeah, okay then." Yeah, mine's the only garden around here that you get loads and loads, because I leave it. No, I just cut it now because, you know, September. I love it here. The birds and the wildlife love it here. And you, fella, you've got to learn to love it here and to love them. Leave them alone. Not nicking your food, are they? Hey? Tired, aren't you? See, this is how you want your German Shepherd. You don't want your German Shepherd getting bored. You want it resting and going to sleep and dreaming about something, rather than it sleeping because it's bored. That right, Dougal? You're asleep now, ain't you? Leave me alone, I'm tired. He's not used to so much work, you see. So he's only getting like 20 minutes. 10 minutes walking and 10 minutes working. But that's being done 4 or 5 times a day. But that will come down. There will be longer sessions, but shorter times. And then his reward will either go through the woods, or we'll go over the fields, or we'll go down to the river. And that'll be his reward for being a good boy. He is a good boy. He's a fantastic dog. But I don't think I've ever met an aggressive German Shepherd. You know, you've got to stop looking at these police dogs and the way they train them. A dog will do what you ask it to do. But if you look at these dogs as just a natural, in their natural environment, that they're not well, they are part of the wolf gang, but they're not vicious. People say, oh, they're vicious, you don't want one of them, they're dangerous dogs. Nothing like it. In fact, these can be one of the most soppiest loving dogs you could get. It's how you bring them up, it's how you train them. You know, he's going to be harder work than Jaeger, I know that, because he's a 6-year-old. Jaeger was a 3-year-old. But he will get where I want him to get. I want him to go out that door, and if there's birds there, to ignore them. If a dog walks past, I want him to ignore them. I want him sat on that wall out there, because it's nicely grassed that is, and just watch the wall go past like Jaeger did. All you have to give them is time, bit of energy, a lot of love. Feed them, walk them, and they'll get there.